Mr. Mayor, in the event of a car accident in Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas, can Mayor and Rosenberg assist somebody that's been involved in a car accident?
Absolutely. I and Mr. Rosenberg and Mr. Garrett are all licensed in both the states of Missouri and Kansas. So we are Kansas attorneys as well as Missouri attorneys, and operate on both sides of the state line. So we're fully able to pursue claims. We can pursue claims in other states, but obviously what we're focused on is the metro area, and there are different laws. Kansas has different laws, has different statutes of limitation. Kansas is a 2-year, Missouri is a 5-year. So there's differences that you have to be aware of. But certainly we're involved in both states. Kansas is a no-fault state, which means that there's at least $4,500 from your own insurance company to pay for your medical care. I had a client come to me yesterday who had an accident, was a Kansas resident and had a Kansas accident and hurt herself, and she was afraid to go to the hospital because she was concerned about incurring a bill because she wasn't otherwise insured. She didn't have health insurance. The good thing about the Kansas insurance policies is that you do have that at least $4,500 available for your immediate medical needs. And if you're in a Kansas, if you have a Kansas policy and you're involved in a Missouri accident, you still have that $4,500. So whatever state you're in, obviously the most likely is if you live on the Kansas side and you're driving into Missouri and have an accident, you still have that PIP available. It's personal injury protection money available, which covers not only the medical bills, but will provide up to $900 for loss of income. So yes, we handle cases on both sides, Missouri and Kansas.
If it's all right with you, I would like to expand upon what you just covered. What if I'm a Missouri resident and a Missouri vehicle with my auto insurance being Missouri based, and I'm driving in Kansas and I'm involved in an accident that wasn't my fault? Because the accident happened in Kansas, would I still have, is my insurance policy obligated to give me that $4,500 medical because the accident happened in Kansas?
Yes.
Okay.
And fault is not an issue. That's why when they call Kansas is a no-fault state, and what that means really is that fault is, it doesn't matter who's at fault in the accident. The first $4,500 of your own insurance is primary for your medical care.
Okay.
And if you have, it's obviously it's easy to drive into other states, and the way the laws of every state is written, and the laws of insurance and the way insurance policies are written, they're written so that they conform to the laws of any state in which the car can be driven.
Okay.
So there are some states, there used to be, some of the southern states had liability limits of $10,000. Well, Kansas and Missouri both, the minimum policy coverage is $25,000. But if someone drove from one of those states where they had a $10,000 limit, if they drove into Kansas or Missouri and had an accident, they would have $25,000 limit, because the law says that the insurance policy has to conform to the laws of the state in which the accident occurs. So to go back to your question, if you were a Missouri registered driver with a Missouri registered insured vehicle that had an accident in Kansas, because the accident occurred in Kansas, the Missouri policy is required to conform to the laws of Kansas and provide that $4,500.
And because this is so confusing, and again, I just learned this would be the exact reason that you and Mr. Rosenberg invite phone calls.
Absolutely.
Is to clear up that confusion. I just learned this would be very important. And then my insurance guy, because I'm Missouri based and because my vehicle's in Missouri and his job is to get the claim as cheap as possible, he might not be so forthcoming about the automatic $4,500 that I'm supposed to receive for the medical benefits, especially if the first question he was to ask me was, well, Wes, I understand you were just in, are you okay? As soon as I say I'm okay, I'm sure it probably puts that medical money in some type of a jeopardy.
Potentially.
Because he could say, well, he said he was all right.
Obviously, you're right. That's back to what I said about being careful what you say. The fact that you may say you're okay to the police officer, or you may say you're okay to the EMTs if they show up. What you need, but doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't some injury that you're unaware of, or that you're not feeling because of the adrenaline rush at the time.
Okay.
Kansas, the PIP money, the no-fault PIP money available in Kansas is subject to, some standard of medical need. So there has to be some doctor that says, yeah, it was necessary, the treatment was necessary, and it was reasonable. So obviously emergency treatment and evaluation is certainly a reasonable step to follow following some kind of traumatic accident.
Now, I'd like to inject, based on the conversation I had last week, Mayer and Rosenberg has aligned itself with providers, healthcare providers, medical doctors, and chiropractors that work with you, and you work with them to determine whether, because you had just said, well, it's based on if a doctor says that yes, this treatment's necessary. Because of the way that you guys like to help people, you've created a group of practitioners that believe in a person's recovery. I like the way that Dr. Fox explained it. He said, Wesley, he says, I believe in a pain recovery program so that people can get their life back. And that's what inspired me about Mayer and Rosenberg the most, is that you guys are not just attorneys and lawyers. You're people who care, and you have a team of people who care. In the event of somebody finds out that they're in the car accident and they've been hurt, my understanding is that you have a series of providers that, like a network of people that you work with, doctors and chiropractors and everything, to help, for helping people. Could you expand upon that a little bit?
Well, we don't know what the result of Obamacare is going to be, but obviously there are a lot of uninsured people out there.
Yes.
And when they're involved in a car accident, the uninsured, they don't have regular access to health care.
Right.
And sometimes they're reluctant to pursue that because they're worried about incurring a debt or ending up with some kind of a debt.
Yeah.
We would, and that's the I think a real primary reason why people should call. If they're in an accident and they have questions, they need answers, and they need to know how they can get access to competent health care. We have been fortunate to establish relationships with medical providers, chiropractic providers. We've got anesthesiologists, orthopedic surgeons who are willing to, see our clients on an as-needed basis. So, call. People should give us a call, because there may be injuries out there that aren't getting addressed, and the sooner they're addressed, the better off everybody will be. The better, you'll heal more quickly, you have a better chance of recovery, and your claim will be cleaner and more cogent to present to the insurance company. So yeah, it's important, and yeah, we are fortunate to have a group of doctors who are willing to, provide that essential care.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mayer.
Mm-hmm.